What's up, Army? It's Jackie, also known as Jackie in the Soup, and welcome to Talk Bangtan to Me, a podcast all about BTS for Army. Whether you're a seasoned Army or just discovering the magic of Bangtan, this podcast is a space to celebrate the music, the moments, and the incredible impact BTS has on our lives. I'll be diving into the world of fandom, chatting with fellow Army, and sharing all the reasons why we love these 7 normal boys from Korea. So come into my own little magic shop and talk Bangtan to me. Welcome to episode 12 of the podcast, and we are continuing on the member series finally. Gosh, I feel like this has been going on forever, but we are finally at the maknae line, and I consider myself a big fan of the maknae line. I love their chaotic energy. I just love how silly they are. I love how they are super driven and focused. I'm just all about them. So kicking off is Park Jimin. He's next in fan chant order. And I got to say, he is just one of my favorite members. I mean, I have a bias. I got a biased wrecker. But when you ask me, who's your favorite member of BTS? I'm always going to say Jimin. I just love everything about him. But before we get to that, let's catch up on what's been going on over the past 2 weeks. It's been pretty quiet, to be honest with you. The guys are still in LA. They're working very hard. It's kind of suspicious. We don't know what they're doing. And basically, all we're doing is like waiting around for them to throw us a crumb, like a picture of them out to dinner or, them in the studio. Over the past 2 weeks, we did get some great posts from the guys, though. Tae did a beautiful photo dump with the famous lap selfie video with JK. And I went crazy over that just because seeing JK is rare these days. He's definitely under the radar. He's not always with the guys that we're seeing. So like it's like what are you doing? Are you gonna tour? What are you working on? But I just freaked out when I saw him on Tae's post. And then Jimin's been posting quite a bit. J-Hope and June have been posting quite a bit. So I mean, we've been blessed in that regard. Seeing a picture of Yoongi, of course, always derails the entire fandom because we really don't see Yoongi all that much. But to see him out smiling and them enjoying each other was awesome. Jin headed to Europe for the rest of his Run Suk Jin episode tour. It was really sad to say goodbye to him after he finished up here in the US and headed over there. But I know lots of my European friends were very, very excited to attend the shows in London and Amsterdam. And a lot of my followers met up with each other and took pictures together. It's really great to continue to see more and more people making those connections. And they'll meet up again and again for the next concerts too. I'm just so proud of Jin as he wraps up Amsterdam. He said on a live that he is headed to LA to join the guys. So they will be 7 again. And that's going to be exciting because I really think they're going to have their full synergy when the 7 of them are together again, enjoying each other. He stated there would not be a final. Usually there is a final in Korea where they kind of close out the tour, but he said there will not be a final and he's headed straight to LA. But overall, as I said on the last episode, it was an amazing tour. He let go a little bit. He took his jacket off in Amsterdam, and that was special. He doesn't give us many crumbs to thirst over, but that's okay. That's not who he is. But he did tease us a little bit by showing us those really toned arms of his. So we'll see when they all get to LA what's going to happen there. I do anticipate there's going to be something announced in the next month. So by mid-September, I think we're going to know something, whether it's a member's new music or maybe something they've filmed. The JK tour, I want it to happen. I really, really do, but I'm not trying to get my hopes up. I mean, the fandom has pretty much decided it's happening. And if it's going to happen, it's got to get announced soon. It needs to be announced in the next month if this is going to be, an October tour, like they said. Who knows, though, in K-pop, the trend lately is announce a tour and then you have like a week to prepare for the pre-sale. Like no time at all. Who knows if that's what's going to happen? And I don't know. I'm really hesitant to schedule anything the rest of the year. And that's crazy. But I really am just worried about what's going to happen this fall. There's no way nothing will happen. So I guess we'll see. In other news, I recently did a podcast episode with a friend of mine, Libby. She has her own podcast called Libby's Audio Journal. And it is a podcast dedicated to finding your joy, embracing your joy in a world that is not so joyful. And she invited me on the podcast because we are both Army and we're both adult Army. And we talked a lot about what it's like to be an adult Army. Why is it so powerful to just embrace that little bit of healthy delulu and just do what makes you happy and immerse yourself in this Army world? So I had a great conversation with her. It was a little bit strange for me to be on the other end of the mic, not being the host, meaning I'm not used to that. Someone asking me all of the questions, but it was nice. It was a nice change of pace. And I hope you all go listen to it. It's Libby's Audio Journal and it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I'm kind of thinking that this whole someone interviewing me concept is what I'm going to do for the Jungkook episode of this podcast. For some reason, people are not jumping to come on as my guest for the Jungkook episode. And I think it's because they're just like, that's your territory. I'm not trying to go toe to toe with you about that man. But it was suggested to me, which I kind of like the idea of my sister, who is an established podcaster, has a very successful podcast, interview me about JK and a little bit of BTS, but JK. So I get a chance to talk about him. So we'll see. Okay. So let's get into the body of the episode here. Jimin, little Mochi, baby Mochi. We call him so many things. I'm loving what's going on with him right now. I think the members are just so in love with him. They always are. But Jimin is just that comfort person for everybody. And post-military, it's been like an ongoing joke. Like all the members find a way to post him. I can imagine they just observe him and think he's just the cutest thing and they snap a pic of him and have to upload it. So I wonder how many pictures of Jimin all the members have in their phones. But let's do a little background on our sweet Jimin. So he is part of the 95 line along with Tae, born in 95 in Busan. So he's a fellow Busan boy with Jungkook. Them two were raised there. He was the final member to join BTS. He didn't join BTS until 2012 as a trainee, as the seventh member, and he had the shortest amount of time to be a trainee. Namjoon joined in, I think it was 2011, 2010? Yeah, it was definitely 2010. So Jimin came in 2012. He had 6 months until debut. Let that sink in for a moment. He joined BTS and had 6 months to rehearse until debut. That's nothing. I mean, idol trainees are considered trainees for years. They learn their craft for years, perfecting singing, dance, speaking, their roles in the group, all of that. And Jimin had 6 months. And it probably was easier for him just because he had so much dance experience. He actually went to Busan High School of the Arts. He studied contemporary dance and he was the top student in contemporary dance. You can actually find some old videos of him where it's insane. Like he almost looks like a ballerina, but it is considered contemporary dance. It was a teacher of his that suggested that he should audition for an entertainment company. So that's how he landed at the Big Hit audition, passed the audition, and became a trainee. His role in the group is vocalist and dancer. So, yes, he had lots of dance experience, but he was not a singer. Not a singer. The way we hear Jimin sing now is because he has worked really hard on his voice to get it where it is. I would say, out of all the members, when it comes to being a perfectionist and being very disciplined and working very hard, Jimin is one of the top members that does that. The members tell stories of him just dancing and practicing all night, not taking breaks, just trying to get it perfect. And he really is flawless when it comes to dance. I mean, he's on the dance line for a reason. Something about the way he moves, it is beautiful. Like I said, it's almost like ballet when he just kind of floats around the stage. He's so graceful. But that's not to say that he wasn't a feisty little thing in his early days. If you go back and you watch, No More Dream and the Red Bullet tour, which was their first tour, he was very feisty. He was very sexy on the stage. He had a lot of attitude. And I get that that was kind of like the concept was to be these like angsty teenagers with attitude. But Jimin was, pulling his shirt up and just, he had this crazy six pack. And it's interesting to look back on that because he's really not like that now. He's definitely had all of his sexy times on stage and sexy eras, but now he's kind of in this season where he's just very, very cute. He is very adorable. And I look back on the Red Bullet tour and I'm like, whoa. I mean, they streamed the Red Bullet tour at Bang Bang Con. I think it was 2 years ago, year before last. They did the Red Bullet tour. And I haven't really watched that. I've seen clips of it, but that was my first time watching it in its entirety. That's why I love Bang Bang Con because we get the chance to do that. And I was so like, I was like, Jimin, you are such a problem. Like he was so flirty and sassy, and I could see why he really gets a grip on people. Jimin stans just absolutely love him. I mean, I see why. So he had this like bad boy image. He started evolving as BTS started evolving. And he's always just had this sex appeal. And I will say it was a slow burn for me. I was very confused by Jimin when I first found BTS. I'm just being honest because he doesn't look feminine, but out of all seven members, he definitely has like the softest features. I want to say it's like he embraces his masculine and his feminine. And that's why I think they say once you gym in, you can't gym out. Like even straight men are like confused when they see Jim and they're like, wait, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. But I didn't really know that, coming into BTS, that was my first time really experiencing anything like that. I used to listen to a lot of rock. Like I had definitely preferred like the rocker type guy for most of my life. And then I see Jimin, who's like this angel, like a literal glowing angel. And I'm like, I don't know what to feel here. And he was a slow burn. So over the years, he kind of crept up and crept up. And now I totally see it. I totally see this incredibly sexy, beautiful side of him. He's just perfect. So he went through this evolution, I guess you could say, where he was kind of finding what his role in the group was going to be. But through all of that, he is for sure a comfort person for the group. He is so sweet and caring, and he's very affectionate with all the members. And I think they all consider him a safe place. And that's been constant all throughout the years of BTS. But not only is he a comfort person, he's freaking hilarious. He is so funny and not in an obvious way. It's like he's just so naturally funny as a person. He makes me laugh. And when he laughs, he throws his whole body on the ground and just like the joy is so infectious. But if you pay attention to him on some of the variety shows and some of the interviews, like he throws little comments out that are hysterical. So I think he is the funniest member. And I think the others agree. Like J-Hope, watch J-Hope with Jimin. He's cracking up constantly. You can tell he just thinks Jimin's the funniest person in the world. And he is. He really, really is. He's just kind of that happy pill for everybody. But, those kinds of people often have struggles. I mean, we all do. But Jimin for sure is one that struggles with body image and criticizing himself. The man can't do anything hardly without talking about gaining weight or the way he looks. And I think it's just a result of him being so disciplined. He is so disciplined. He wants to be perfect. He is a dancer. So dancers are often concerned about physique and weight because it can be difficult to dance well if you're not lean. So he is often concerned about that. And I hate that for him, but I think it's just a testament to how committed he is to his craft. Like all the other members, he had some solo tracks on the BTS albums. He had Lie, Filter, Serendipity, Friends on Map of the Soul. So he has had these songs. And I'll tell you, people love that filter performance. That filter performance where he's in the red, like that is just one of the most known Jimin performances. And it just mystifies people, along with performances of Serendipity. I'm not sure if I could really say he had a sound, like a unique sound of his own in those songs. That didn't really come until later when he released Face and Muse, which we'll get to in a bit. But I think it's safe to say Jimin's whole identity is being a member of BTS. And you're going to see a lot of that with the younger members. They came into the group, they were young. It's kind of all they knew throughout their adolescence and young adulthood. So everything about them is about being a member of BTS, and that's kind of their identity. And Jimin, for sure, was one that struggled greatly with this when COVID happened and the Map of the Soul tour was canceled. They all dealt with it in their own ways. But Jimin opened up later on about how difficult that was for him because suddenly the only thing he knew, his career, his life, so many hours of his life, everything's just ripped away from him. The world shut down and he's like, who am I now? What do I do? And that was dark. That was dark. He struggled with that. And that really was the jumping off point for Face. I believe it was RM that said to him, like, you need to write this down. Whatever you're feeling, you need to write this down. I think that was difficult for Jimin. For our rappers who are used to getting out their feelings through music, the Maknae line are not natural songwriters, right? Like that's something that they learned how to do and that they became very good at. But I don't know that it's always their first go-to to use writing music as an outlet. So Jimin started doing that. And that helped him kick off Face. Face was released in 2023. And Set Me Free Part 2 was the first single. Set Me Free Part 2 was a total shock, completely surprised. I was like, whoa, what is this side of Jimin? But this album really was him talking about defining who he is again, dealing with these feelings, these really hard emotions. He let all that out in Face. And it was great. And it wasn't an over the top promotion. You know, he did Fallon and he did some shows, but he did really well. And you could tell he was very nervous to do it. And it was intimidating for him to be out on his own like this because all he's known is being BTS. So he did so good. And Face did well. Like Crazy was on the charts forever. Forever. That was a fan favorite, that song. So I personally thought that he was going to be done. I thought that that was going to be it. So in 2024, when Muse came out, I was shocked. I personally was shocked. It's like we were blessed that we even got one album from each member, and then some of them followed up with the second. So Muse came out. I'm very partial to Muse. I can't deny it. I love that album. I love it so much. I feel like he poured his heart into it. And while Face was getting a lot of those emotions out, Muse was a little more joy. Smeraldo Garden Marching Band and Who and Be Mine, like they just had a lighter feel to them. And I feel like even though it was a short album, it still had all the great elements of a pop album on it. It had your ballad, it had the great catchy song with choreo. It just had everything. My favorite song of Jimin, period, is Rebirth intro from Muse. It's beautiful, it suits his voice, and it just was a great way to kick off that album. So Muse was definitely like a perfect little pick me up. It came at the right time. It just made everybody feel good. The concept with flowers and colors like blue and yellow, it was perfect. It was great. And the last kind of big thing he did was filming Are You Sure with Jungkook, the variety show, which of course I loved that. We all loved that. But that was his last kind of adventure before enlistment. And you could tell based on his hair and things in the later episodes of Are You Sure, he was promoting and getting ready for Muse, as well as going to Japan with JK to film. But I'll tell you, his enlistment was one of the hardest for me. I knew that the second he had to shave his head, he was going to be so insecure and he was going to have a problem with that. I think his hair just means a lot to him. That seems silly to say, but I just knew that he was going to feel like emasculated or something after he shaved his head. And he came on live before he enlisted. He looked like he was going to cry after he shaved his head. It was heartbreaking. It was terrible. And the whole time he was enlisted, I was so worried about him. Truthfully, everybody was saying, oh, you know, Jungkook and Jimin enlisted together because Jungkook's the baby and was going to need him. No, I think they need each other. But I would have worried about Jimin being by himself. He's just a sensitive soul. And I know he didn't want to be there. I know it was hard for him. So his enlistment was definitely like a sigh of relief when it was over. When he discharged, and he was looking so sweet and round and baby faced and smiling. I was just like, it was, oh my gosh, thank God he's out. Thank God he's out. And I'm happy to see that he is still Jimin. He's still Jimin. He didn't come out of the military with these horrible stories. Maybe he has some, but he kind of just jumped right back into being the Jimin everybody loves and the support for everybody. I do wonder if he's going to continue on his solo activities along with the group activities. I look at all of them. I think some members will, and it's possible some members may just want to be in BTS and they may just be happy focusing on the BTS album and the BTS tour next year. And, maybe they'll do some magazine covers and things like that, but to put out an album, I don't know. I'm curious. My hunch is that Jimin is going to just want to go back to being Jimin of BTS, maybe a single here and there, maybe more Are You Sure episodes. We know he filmed that as soon as they got out, but to do the whole, third album and then go on a tour, I don't know. I don't know if I see that for him. I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I've been wrong before. And if he wants to challenge himself, I'm all for that. But he just seems happiest when he's surrounded by his members being a part of BTS. So we'll see what he does. I want to close out my conversation about Jimin. I want to talk about his fans for a moment. I know plenty of incredibly sweet Jimin stans. There's actually 3 of them coming on this episode, which is why I'm cutting this a little bit short, because I'm going to be chatting with 3 ladies who are just so devoted to him. But the Jimin solo stands are something I came in contact with early on, and I was absolutely appalled. Jimin solos go for your throat. If they find out that you are anti-Jimin or that you've said anything about him, I've never witnessed a meaner group of people than the solo stands. Now, I'm not talking about people that just prefer Jimin. I'm talking about people that only love him and dislike the other 6 and want to drag the other 6 and think that he's being mistreated by the other 6. There are armies like this. Well, they call themselves armies, but they're not. They are like this, and they can be vicious. They can say some of the most vile things. And I guess I can say the same about JK and Tay solos. Something about the Maknae line solos are just a different level of unhinged. And you'll see, especially my fellow content creators, if you post something that kind of rubs a Jimin solo wrong, they will call their crew and they will come in waves and attack you. It's a wild thing. So just be prepared for that. I will say the 3 ladies I have on are nothing like that. They are amazing. I wasn't sure who I was going to have on for the Jimin episode. And then the 3 of them approached and said, we'd like to do it together. And I've never had 3 people on. So please bear with me. If it's a little chaotic, I'm going to do my best to navigate this. But let's get into it. Please welcome Amy, Sunny, and Lydia. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
So this is the first time I've had 3 people as a guest. Lydia, Sunny, Amy, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Yes, thanks.
They're so cute. For those that are listening and not watching the video, they look so beautiful. And we all have children that we are hiding from in the moment, so we can record this. So it's possible you might even hear some make an entrance on here, but we'll do our best to get through it. So why don't we start off with sharing your army stories? Anything you want to share about finding BTS? Which one of you want to go first?
I volunteer Amy.
Go ahead, Amy.
Hi. Back in 2019 is when my BTS beautiful journey started. My niece was very interested in the Asian culture and became a very huge K-pop fan. And I had heard her talking numerous times about a group called BTS, but I had no clue who they were, what kind of music they produced. And she was always talking about wanting to go over to South Korea and see them. So one day, it was actually at the Thanksgiving table, I asked her, so who is BTS and what music do they make? And so she started telling me all about BTS, and she pulled up some YouTube videos and was like, this is them. And my mind was just completely blown away because I had never listened to any like international groups before. I'm a huge music lover, but I just have always just listened to more American music. And so I was very intrigued that people over in America were listening to a South Korean band because I was like, the language barrier and all that. And my niece explained to me that it's not all about understanding the lyrics. It's about their presence. It's about what they are saying in their lyrics. So I
Wow.
started getting really intrigued by them. And I wanted to form that connection with my niece because no one else in our family knew about BTS or anything. So I wanted her to have that connection to be able to talk to someone in our family about BTS. So I started looking them up, and the very first performance I typed in on YouTube, I just typed in BTS, and the very first one that popped up was BTS's cover of Perfect Man. And as soon as I saw Orange Hair Jimin, I was like, okay, so this is why my niece loves BTS. And I was completely captivated right from the start of their synchronization, not just their looks, but just how they performed as a group. I had never seen a group so synchronized before and ones that really danced while they sang. And I was like, wow, like this is something special. So I went head first. And I think I spent like the whole night just looking at YouTube videos and everything. And that was when I went down the rabbit hole. And so I've been in Army since 2019.
Wow. I can't believe Perfect Man was the first one that came up. That's considered one of the big three. They call it big three music videos that you need to see. I think it's Perfect Man, it's Dimple Pied Piper, and I forget what the other one is. There's another one. But that's so funny. It wasn't even an actual song of theirs, it was a cover. And you're like,
Yes.
whoa, I'm in love with
Yes, it blew me away that they could give that much dedication to a cover song. So I
yeah.
was like, how are they with their own songs? And then I discovered just how fabulous and how much dedication they put into every performance, whether it's their songs or other artists' songs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. 2019. So you're even more veteran than I am. Awesome. Lydia, why don't you go next?
Well, I discovered BTS in the summer of 2023. I was pregnant at the time with my third baby, who I really wanted, but I was so sick and very depressed. I had the classic, like, prenatal depression, I guess. And I am such a big music girl, like Amy. I'm always on the hunt for new music. So every Friday, my ritual is to listen to Spotify New Music Friday. And I remember I was pulling out of the driveway, and Jungkook's Seven explicit version came on, and I was like backing up, and I stopped, and I was like turned up the car radio, and I was like, what are these lyrics? I just started laughing so hard. And then I was like driving to wherever I was going. I listened to the song like twice, and I was like dying. I was like, this song is hilarious. Who is this? Who is that? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, BTS. And I had known about BTS for like years, I would say. I watched their New Year's Eve performance in Times Square, and my cousin was really into them. And, so I think I even had the song The Planet, which is super random, on my playlist at the time.
Yeah.
You guys know that song? I don't even know where it came from, but it was on my playlist. But I was always like, I don't know why people are so into this band. Like, what's the big deal? Like, the language barrier was also like, why would people listen to Korean music when they don't speak English? And, I just had no idea. And so I fell in love with Jungkook immediately. I loved that song, and I was like, I need to go check him out. And then, well, I put on Dynamite, and I remember hearing Jimin's bridge in it, and I was
Oh,
like, who,
yes.
like, I need to look this up and see whose face goes with this, like, angelic, beautiful voice. And I watched the music video and I was like, oh my God. And then I put on Butter and I was like, oh my God.
Like, it's an angelic, beautiful person to go
Yeah,
with that
I was like,
angelic, beautiful voice.
yeah. And I was like, and he dances. And so really it was Jimin that made me OT7 in the end, because I was like, he's amazing. And then it was like, well, they're all amazing. And yeah, then I was just so sick that pregnancy. I laid on the couch for literally like 6 months with my 3-year-old and my 6-year-old, and we watched every single BTS music video, variety shows, like all their appearances, interviews. We just like, we dove so deep, and it was like my light, like that kept me going through the toughest pregnancy I've ever experienced. And yeah,
Wow.
it's just been such a wonderful journey ever since then.
So Jimin was like it was
Yeah,
immediate for you.
immediate. Jungkook was my bias for like 24 hours.
That's me with Yoongi. Like, the one that you see first is you think it's your bias, and you're like, oh, no, 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 wait. Like, I see the other ones now, and now I got to pick a bias. Well, thank you for sharing that. Seven, I thought, was like kind of corny when I first heard it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of corny, this song. I'm not gonna lie.
Hilarious. I mean,
Yes. I'm like, what? Like, and then for that to be the song that hooked you enough to be like, I'm gonna look into this guy. Who is this? I love that. And that's so common. Like, that's just common with the golden era overall.
yeah,
Mhm.
he really did a wonderful job of pulling
Yeah.
everybody in.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, last but not least, Miss Sunny, tell us your army story.
All right. So I go all the way back to 2022. I was working with someone who had discovered BTS during the pandemic, and she would talk with me about them. Not a whole lot, like she wasn't pressing them on me or anything. But I remember her showing me a clip of I'm drawing a blank now, the song, but it's when Jimin jumps over J-Hope. Does that flip
Oh,
over
yes.
J-Hope?
We Are Bulletproof.
Yeah,
Part
We Are
2.
Bulletproof. Yes. I remember her showing me that, and she would just kind of, just out of being excited, share things with me, and I was like, oh wow, that's really interesting. And I just didn't get it. But if you had asked me like what music I liked or who I was listening to, I really didn't have anybody or have anything. And then I changed jobs, but I kind of kept in touch with that friend. And then whenever I would hear BTS on the radio, like Butter, Dynamite, I would think of her, and I would text her and talk with her. And then I had BTS coming up on a playlist that I would listen to with my kids in the car. So I got to where I really liked Butter and Dynamite. And then finally it was just like, all of a sudden in November of 2022, I was just like, I got to hear some more. I got to hear some more. And I had been through a divorce, and it was not just a divorce, but it was just years of difficulty. And I had poured everything of myself into trying to make things work and try to be everything for everybody. And so I was pretty empty. And when I started figuring out who BTS was, it just gave me a passion and a light. And I remembered who I was again. And I started learning, well, it's the cliche thing, but how to love myself again. And I remember watching the carpool karaoke. That was one thing that really did it for me. And then I watched the dance practice for Run BTS and saw Jimin. And I only saw Jimin. I go back now and I see Yoongi in that video, and I'm like, I didn't see him.
But Jimin with that like cropped sweatshirt thing that just doesn't want to stay on him.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it was his dancing that really struck me. I've always loved dance. I haven't danced for years, but yeah. And then I just took a deep dive, and like, it's all a purple blur from then on.
Yeah, Sunny, you and I connected right away because we share a lot of similarities in our path to becoming a single mother and being everything for everyone and not really having anything for yourself. So it's eerie how similar
it is.
The things we've dealt with are.
For sure.
So there's a lot of trauma with that. And
yeah.
I think you would agree that when you find BTS and you love them so much, like it feels like I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could care this much about something because I'm always so just distracted with everybody else. But like this is the thing that is for me. It's refreshing. So
Well, and they healed a lot of that
yeah.
trauma just because they're such amazing people and amazing men, our difficulties with men, it's really.
Well, see, we're screwed because now we're forever single, whereas Lydia and Amy, you guys have amazing, supportive husbands that support your love for Jimin. Sunny and I got to find that somewhere. I don't know.
They're out there. You just got to find them.
But they exist.
Well, for me, it's going to be like a prerequisite. Like if you want to go on a date with me, it's going to probably come up on the first date. Like you need to understand the role. If you come over to my home, you're going to see portraits of them all over the place. And you got to not be weirded out by that.
And they're not going anywhere either.
No.
Exactly. Tay and JK are above my bed and they will stay above my bed.
I tell my husband, I'm like, there are 5 men I love in this life. You, my 2 boys, my dad, and Park Jimin. And nothing's changing that. I'm just like, yeah.
So Sunny, you started talking about how you saw Jimin in the Run BTS video. So that kind of leads into the question I was going to ask you. How long were you ARMY before you saw Jimin and you were like, that's my bias? That's it. Was that it?
That was it. I mean, as soon as I learned what their names were, I realized that he was the one that stood out to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
He reminded me of a middle school crush in some way, just his cuteness and his sense of humor. But yeah, probably 2 weeks. Maybe.
Oh my gosh. And it's been ever since. He's never been wrecked.
Ever since.
Is he to be wrecked for any of you? Or is it just Jimin, you are the one, that's it?
Well,
I mean, there's wreckers, but I mean to actually threaten Jimin's place. Does that exist?
Second place.
There's second, yes.
Yeah. We
have
have
6 of those, basically. So what is it about Jimin that you love apart from all the things you just said?
I had to write some things down because it's easy to say, like, I just love Jimin so much.
Right.
But a few things I thought of is like, he just feels like comfort to me because he is so warm and his smile and he just accepts everyone. You just see how he's just always there for everyone. He's genuine. I feel like he's just who he is. I don't feel like he puts on a fake persona at all. He holds himself to high standards, and I admire that. I'd like to be more like that.
Actually, all the body of the episode that I recorded earlier, I was kind of listing these things off, and a lot of it was a lot of it's the same. He is comfort. Like he is someone that you want in your life, and all of the members are just obsessed with him. Like they just love him because he is just that comfort person to all of them, and in their own ways. And he's so driven, almost to a fault, because he's always trying to be perfect. He's always concerned about weight and staying in shape and all of those things because he's just so committed to his craft. I mean, he's a dancer, so of course he's always worried about physique and all of that. And he's really had an evolution. Like he had kind of like a bad boy look in the beginning. He was like edgy, and then he had this like angelic, beautiful phase. And I feel like now he's in his like cute era. Like he's very cute right now. But Lydia, my next question's for you. Out of all the kind of eras of Jimin, what is one that you're just stuck on and you love and you can't move on from? Just one.
Well, I feel like the correct answer would be every era is devastating.
Yes.
Are picking, what first comes to my mind is the Butter era because all the visuals are they're just so good. Like for every single one of them, like the hair, the makeup. But when I think about it, I can move on from Butter. What I cannot move on from is Jimin in Black Swan and the On. Like on Map of the Soul 7, that whole time frame of him, I just feel like, because I've done the deep dive of going back into all of Jimin's years, and I just feel like he really kind of merges his two personas of like hip hop dancer, you know, tough as he started out, and then Black Swan just brought out that original modern dance,
Yes.
ballet. I grew up dancing, so that's probably why, you know, I gravitate to that.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever he did that performance for the concert that they did online, where he's wearing the black lace and it's with the symphony, and he's got like those
Yes.
glowing anklets around his ankle. I mean,
Yes.
that whole performance is just stunning. It's stunning.
Yes.
It's so feminine and like delicate and almost like a fragile type energy, and yet at the same exact moment it's so moody and like sensual and like has such a power to it. I could watch it over and over again. And I think it was for the Mama performance of 2020, maybe, whenever it was all seven of them, but he and JK had that little moment where
Oh,
JK,
they're like doing ballet together?
yeah, when
That,
he lifts him
yes.
up and the water's like going everywhere. And I mean, he's just like radiant. Like he's in his element. He owns the stage. You could even see like during the interviews when they talk about Black Swan, everybody's like looking at Jimin, like smiling, like this is
Yes.
Jimin's moment, you know?
Yes.
And I mean, the music video, like, I can't even talk about the music video. Like the cinched corset with the silver bluish hair, like,
Yes. And he's
gosh,
barefoot, right? Isn't he barefoot in that?
haircut,
Like,
it's like
just,
freestyling, like rent is overdue.
yeah.
Like, so bad.
Yes.
And the moody lighting, like I feel like he really took it to the next level, and I just appreciate that about him. I love that he felt the freedom to explore that, because I don't feel like that's a very K-pop, you know, that's beyond the K-pop
Yeah.
genre. And from what I've gathered, you know, that was his original career path, was more of the ballet, modern
Contemporary
dance.
dance. Mhm.
And so I love that he was able to have the freedom to be able to express that. And then
Yeah.
of course I love him in the On music video. I love all of them, but like the dancing in that music video too. Vocals are just so like silvery and just
Yeah.
like it's just a dream. Like he's a
And
dream.
that dance break and On where he begins it in the front and center is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's
And
wearing like pearls too. Like
yes. And it, as you're saying that, it started clicking in my head why it was so hard on Jimin when Map of the Soul tour got canceled. And he took that really hard because he probably felt like he was at his peak, like he came into his own. He was a really strong performer. He was ready. And then it gets canceled. And then he has nothing throughout the pandemic. He just has nothing. And that, I think, in my opinion, I'm sure they all took it hard, but it seemed like he took it incredibly hard. Kind of this loss of identity, like, who am I now?
Right.
That everything was taken away from me. And that just makes sense because he really did. He was thriving in that.
He was, yeah.
He really was thriving. I love this question about the eras because I love to think about all the different eras. And Butter Jimin, for sure, with the blonde hair and the undercut, that was just, yes,
And
yes,
like clothes was so delicate and interesting too, you know? It's just
yes,
unusual.
yes. But the butter outfits were very unusual. They've never really done anything like that again. And Jimin especially, it's kind of confusing. Like, I was someone who was really into like rock guys, like in my life. And then Jimin's like this alien that is like perfect balance of the masculine and the feminine, and you're like, I don't know what to, this is like an angel. He's not real. Like what is, and it was such a strange feeling to see. That's Jimin's the only one that gave me that sensation where I was like,
When I first saw the Butter music video, my friend was going nuts about it. And I went home and watched it, and I was like, what is this? And Jimin in particular, I was like, he's strange. I didn't get it.
yeah,
It's a different cultural thing. Like, I just had never
yes,
seen anything like that before.
yeah, because he was always the one that would, he'd play up the makeup a little more than the
Mhm.
others, or he'd wear the long earrings all the time, the contacts. So it's kind of like, I don't know what to make of you, but I'm so into it. I'm
Right.
so into this. So what does this mean? Am I attracted to the masculine side or the feminine side? I don't know. You're making me question everything now. Awesome. So, Amy, my next question's for you. You know me that I'm big on baby armies. That's kind of like my jam, right? So, if you had to recommend a song or performance for a baby army that's Jimin focused, what would you recommend?
I was thinking so much about this yesterday, and I was going back and forth because there are so many fabulous Jimin solo performances. But I think the one I go to the most that I recommend to baby armies is Lie. Yes,
Yes.
I think a lot of people kind of have almost forgotten Lie almost. But, like, when Live first came out, it was huge,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a huge part of the Wings tour,
Yeah.
and I remember when I first saw him perform live, the very first one I watched was in 2016 at the Mama concert when he performed live blindfolded with
Oh,
J-Hope next to him.
yes.
And I was blown away. It wasn't
Yes.
the whole, like, performance where he danced, but just that one part and how synchronized he was with J-Hope, even though he was blindfolded.
Yeah.
I was blown away. It just shows Jimin to a T. And
Mm-hmm.
I have always loved Lie. And like I said, I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten a little about Lie because he had big songs come up like Filter. Filter's a huge one that
Yeah.
people always kind of gravitate to and
Yes.
everything. But I always try and bring people back to Lie because I feel like that's when people really started noticing his like
Mm-hmm.
real abilities. And I think that that really solidified him as such a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk to, at least in my experience, when you talk to armies that are old school, that have been here for a long time, they are Wings era enthusiasts. Like people will argue to death that that was their best era ever. And yeah, that performance, that is an incredible performance. And those of you that have danced, you know how difficult that would be to perform that choreo blindfolded. The control that takes, like it's crazy. And then J-Hope with Boy Meets Evil was like
Hmm.
it was perfect.
It was, yes.
That's a good one. See, now I'm so glad I asked that because if Baby Army asked me or does ask me, I'm probably going to say that. Go watch the live performance with J-Hope. That's a
Hmm.
great,
I'm a huge lover of the Wings
yeah.
era. I love it so much.
Yeah, because it was like that Temptation era and a little bit of darkness. They were sexy. Like
Mhm.
it was, it was awesome. I would have loved to see the Wings tour for
Oh,
sure.
me too.
And I feel like the solos on the Wings tour aren't talked about a lot. Like, they're really not. You're right. They get overshadowed by a
Mm.
lot of the later ones. Yeah.
Well, they have so much music they put out since then. It's easy
Yes.
to lose it. I've been
Yes.
finding myself going back more to the Wings tour lately and
Mhm.
just being like, God, this is so good.
Yes. Yes. That's been me with School Love Affair lately. I've been listening to that. Like I've been going back and back to the old stuff to listen to their old sound.
Try and really get baby armies to go back because with BTS, it's such a storyline.
Yeah.
Like the HYYH era is, I think, my all-time favorite era.
Mhm.
And you have to go back to the beginning to understand their storyline. And
Mhm.
so I'm always getting baby armies to go back to the beginning to see where it all started and to see that beautiful storyline that they've created with
Yeah.
all of their eras.
Yes. Yes. I do the same. When people don't know where to begin, I'm like, I know you're going to see all this stuff in your algorithm and it's going to be a lot of the newer clips and things
Hmm.
like that. But truly, just go back to Too Cool for School. Start there, listen to every album and kind of follow the journey forward
Hmm.
because it's so different. Like they've had so many different style and sound evolutions. I will say that. Like Jimin for me, I would say it's been like the past 3 years, I've been so down bad for Jimin. Like, I just think he's so sexy and beautiful and all of those things. It was actually, you guys probably already know this. It was when he went on stage with Yoongi for the D-Day concert, he's in that like denim outfit. I saw that in the movie theater, and I don't know what came over me. I lost my mind because I was like, oh my God, Jimin, because his hair was like black and long and he had the white tank. I just thought he looked amazing.
He really
And
did.
that I've been whipped for him ever since that. It's like, oh
The
my
Jimin
God.
effect finally got you.
Yes.
That's what it was. And once you gym in, you can't gym out. It's cliche, but
Exactly.
it's true. I'm like, okay, I see it now. Now I can't unsee it. So let's talk about his solo releases for a moment. Face and Muse came out, which were you all surprised when Muse came out? Like, I didn't think he was going to put out a second album after Face. It was like,
Yeah.
I was very shocked.
I
yeah,
had no expectations. I was still so new.
right. So you didn't know what to expect. I mean, I felt like Face was him like getting out what he needed to get out and talking about like his path and his evolution. And I thought that was going to be it. And then here comes this like poppy, amazing, feel good Muse. And I'm like, well, this is amazing. So I'd love to hear from you all if you have a preference, even if you love them both, if there's one that you love, because they're so different, but they go perfectly together. So is there one?
I love Face.
Mm-hmm.
Face is my favorite amongst the two. I love Muse so much, but Face, I feel like really captivates Jimin's raw emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was trying to figure out his identity and he was having just like so much inner turmoil. And with Set Me Free, I feel like that was really the song of the album that solidified Face for me.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of Set Me Free music video, he stands up and he's in a white shirt and it's like he's liberated.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes Muse, and then I see that connection between the two because Muse is all about love and inspiration. And I feel like with Face, he was trying to find out who he was, and then Muse came and he found out who he was. And he was just discovering more about himself and about love. And he dived down into so many different genres of music and different styles, like Be Mine and Smirno Garden Marching Band. They're so completely different.
Yes.
But like I really feel like he was really trying to see how he could pursue his career by like trying different styles of music, and I feel like he perfected them. And Muse is an incredible album, but I just feel like such an emotional connection to Face.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so bad for him. Like listening to all the songs of Face, like I can feel his pain. But then I put on Muse and I can just feel like him being free and liberated. And they're both so beautifully connected. I didn't think they were going to be connected when I first saw Muse come out. But the more I thought about it, it was like a beautiful connection between the two.
Mm-hmm. I see why they had to be separate albums because I was like, oh, why didn't he just put them all together? But they are different enough that they need to be separate albums. Like Face has to have its own message, and then Muse had to have its own message. Muse was like a rebirth in a sense, like you said. I love it. Sunny, what about you? Which one do you prefer?
Yeah, I, of course, love both of them. They suit different moods for me. But Face is a little harder for me to listen to because it's so emotional. And it is him pouring his heart out in a dark time. And it's just not my favorite to hear the pain. So I do prefer Muse. It's just so fun to listen to. And he just did phenomenal. His vocals sound amazing in all the songs. And like when Who came out, it blew my mind. And I was like, what is this? This is a whole new phase, a whole new Jimin, just coming out so strong with his vocals and his choreo. And but yeah, there's definitely a time and a place for Face as well. So
Yeah. I
I guess if I have to choose, it's Muse.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree, and it's kinda similar to Yoongi with Amidala. That's how
Yeah.
I feel about that song. It's like, there's a time and place for it, but it's not an everyday listen for me because it's like, "Ooh, that's" I could feel that, and kinda and, like, Stop the Rain too. Like, I never listen to Stop the Rain because with RM because it's too much for me. I'm just like, "Whoa, it's dark." I love it. Lydia, what about you?
A face girl through and through. So the funny thing is that, I discovered BTS in the summer of 2023, and Jimin had put Face out in the spring of 2023. So all within the same week, I, was going down the BTS rabbit hole, and then I discovered Jimin, that guy I really like. He has a whole album, and I remember clicking on it. I was also in the car, and Face Off came on, the first song on the track, and I was like, this is so good. Because it was just like, I don't know, it's just so like angry, but in like a cathartic type way, where you
Yeah.
just are like, yeah, it is all up and over. Like,
Yeah. Yes.
and I was just in like a really rough time of life that
Right.
season, and that album just was like a balm for me, to where I was able to listen to it and like cry and really feel like I felt all of his feelings so deeply in myself, in my own scenario. Like I would
Mhm.
just lay in bed and listen to Alone, and it was like calming, to be like, I'm not alone because you were alone.
Yes.
And to
Yes.
feel that, and then I just love, like, I love the bad boy vibes, like, of Face. Like, I love his clothes, his outfits. I love the choreography, um, especially in Set
Yeah.
Me Free Part 2. Like, that whole music video just feels like it belongs in an art museum. Like, the way that it's
Yeah.
styled, the grays, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I really love Muse as well, because I love anything Jimin does. And
Mhm.
Esmeralda Garden Marching Band is probably my favorite from that track, because I love like the classical instruments, and it's just such a happy song. And I feel like he is such a duality of a person that,
Mhm.
you have to have both with him, because that is who
Yeah.
he is. And so it
Yeah.
feels like the perfect representation of, you know, pain, suffering, passion, discovering who you are, being authentic and vulnerable, and even
Mhm.
even in the midst of insecurities. And then Muse is celebrating that personal growth, and
Yeah.
celebrating the opportunity to love. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I love them both.
Yeah, I Jimin's duality is like that's like the main thing everybody talks about with Jimin is his duality. And I loved how Face had the different concepts. He was in that like white
Mhm.
backless shirt and he looked so delicate and beautiful. And then he had the like the piercings and the black and like there were two totally different looks for the album. And it's like that's exactly that represents him perfectly. He's got those perfect he's got equal parts of the delicate and soft and then the hard and more aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the vocals were so interesting. The vocals are so interesting on Face, how they are oftentimes more stylized, and
Yeah.
they're just a little more manipulated, which I just think is so fun, the way that they played with the vocals on it. And,
Mhm.
Muse is such a different way of singing for him. We could really hear the progression of how much he's worked on singing from like deeper in the diaphragm. And it was such a different sound, which
Yes.
was just, I don't know, like wonderful to hear that you can be so versatile with
Yeah.
your
His
voice,
range.
with practice and hard work. And we all know he's like the king of hard work and practice. So,
Yeah, hearing when I first heard Who, just his register was different, and I was like, "Oh, because you're used to him having, like, the high, very angelic" we keep saying angelic, but that's what it is, like, that's how his voice is. But, yeah, hearing him go into that lower register, and Set Me Free Part 2, that threw me off, like, because again, I never heard anything like that before, like, hearing the auto-tune and the way they manipulated his voice throughout it, I was like, "This is so different." None of the other members have any song really like that. So it was, yeah, I completely agree. So, my final question before we get into your song choice of the episode, which I actually don't know what it is because I was trying not to peek at the chat when you guys were talking about it. How would you say Jimin's inspired you in your lives? And we kind of touched on a lot of it already. Sunny, you had said he holds himself to a high standard and all.
Yes, I really admire just his work ethic and just the way that he is so warm and accepting to people. I aspire to be that person for people as well. Just he's the listening ear, he's the shoulder to cry on, he's always there to support the members. And, you know, I often find myself like, if I'm doing something hard, even if it's like finishing up a workout or something, I'm like, Jimin can do hard things. I can do hard things too.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Lydia, Amy, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think the main thing that inspires me the most about him is the way that he has embraced duality in his life with that more feminine energy and then that masculine energy. And I don't know if he's aware of how much he puts that out into the world and how much it breaks gender stereotypes. You know, I don't know if he does that on purpose or if it's just, you know, he is like a work of art in and of himself, and we observe art and we take from it what we see, and it inspires us. And to me, just seeing how he's incorporated that into his work and into his daily, you know, interactions of what we are allowed to see, I find it yeah, like I want to be free in my own life to be able to embrace more of those different energies on the spectrum of, you know, tapping into that whenever I need that more strong, solid, you know, masculine type leader, you know, those stereotypical things that, you know, come to mind when we think about that.
Yeah.
And then other times, you know, I feel like I might want to tap more into that like delicate, feminine, you know, quiet, contemplative, that type of energy. And I think about him a lot and how he manages to pull it off so gracefully. And I don't even know if he would say that he does that, but I find
Yeah.
that is a huge inspiration for me in watching him. And I'm excited to see that unfold more as he just grows older and develops his career more, and to see how that plays out.
I love everything you said. I think that we can be inspired, but it also helps you look at when you look at your partner, a romantic partner, or what you're looking for in a partner. You know, you're so used to thinking like, I need this male provider and someone who has that type of energy, but it's like, no, it's okay to be soft as well and to have all of those. Like he's not even just Jim, and all of them have totally just set the bar, you know, and challenged our what we thought was true about men. For sure. I love that. Amy, what about you?
Jimin has inspired me just in so many aspects. I just love that when I think about Jimin, I just think of a warm hug. And he's just always so gentle and supportive. And I just want to be that kind of person to someone. I really hope Jimin has a Jimin in his life. And I think about that. I'm like, I want to be that Jimin in someone's life. I want to be that shoulder to cry on, that big supportive teammate, the one who is never jealous, who lets other people shine. And I just look at him and I'm just so inspired, and he is just an incredible human being, and like Lydia said, he has a very high emotional intelligence. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much strength and intelligence Jimin has. I feel like he just wants other people to succeed. And there's just so many layers to Jimin. And I feel like he's really starting to show people more and more of those layers.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he can go from like my favorite kitty gang Jimin to this cute little tiny human being that who loves hugs, and he loves it when the members pick him up. But then you go back and you see a kitty king Jimin and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the same person. Duality with him it's beautiful how he embraces both sides.
Yep.
And he's really not afraid to show how much love he has. I think that's the thing that's inspired me the most is he's not afraid to let you know that he loves you, and he's not afraid to show affection. And I think everyone needs a Jimin in their life for sure. And I want to be that someone. I want to be Jimin for someone.
Well, I could say without a doubt, the three of you, I mean, you've been a part of the Soup and the Instagram family for a while now. And all three of you come forward with that presence, welcoming and friendly and kind to anybody new. I know that if someone jumps into the group chat, one of you is going to be like, hi, welcome, like just so warm. So it's definitely true that you exude your bias. It just comes, it shines out from you no matter what you do. So, and I will say, I couldn't imagine a different bias for any one of you. You are three Jimin biases, 110%. So, I
I was
love it.
about to
Thank
say,
you.
Amy, you could be my Jimin in my life.
Yeah,
I will love to
exactly.
be your Jimin.
I know. You guys being friends is like the best group ever. Just three Jimin types all together.
I definitely feel like we all have Jimin qualities in us. I have a lot of J-Hope qualities. I can be very loud and chaotic like J-Hope. But I think for the most part, I have a lot of Jimin qualities, and I think that's why I was so drawn to him at first.
Yeah.
I see a lot of myself in Jimin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Likewise. Jimin and RM. Those are my two.
You got to have your rapper on your side too. You need a rapper with you.
We all need a rapper in our corner.
Oh, yes.
And I love how Jimin's been getting really close with the rap line. It seems like even more so in the later years. When he was younger, it was, JK and Tay. They were like the chaotic young ones. But now he's like him and RM and him and J-Hope. They're just all getting very close. I love to see that. Okay, so oh my gosh, ladies, we've been talking almost an hour. I knew this was going to happen. So let's get into your song choice of the episode. As I said, I did not look at what your discussions were because I'm like, let me be surprised. But I asked for the listeners, I asked them to agree on one song choice that was either a Jimin solo or a song that where Jimin just really shines, even if it's an OT7 song. So what did you all decide?
It was a hard decision.
Yeah.
The more we thought about it, the harder it was.
What is it? Tell me.
Amy?
It is Set Me Free Part 2.
I had a feeling. And that makes sense. It was such a shock when that came out, and hearing you all talking about it, I'm like, ooh, they're going to pick that song.
It was very hard to pick between Set Me Free Part 2 and Serendipity.
Again, that duality, they're like, it's the perfect mirror.
Yep.
And they're still both so him, so iconic.
Yes. I have a poster right next to me of him with the yellow balloon. And it just says, just let me love you. It's like my favorite little piece of art that I have on the wall. So Set Me Free Part 2, when that came out, just it's such like a triumphant big song when it starts, and then the video and the font all over him. Like that was just like, whoa, oh my gosh, people were crazy over that. And I feel like we forget. It feels like it was so long ago. Mm-hmm. But it's like people forget how whipped we were for that when it came out. It was crazy.
I think so many people did not expect that kind of style from Jimin. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what captivated all of us the most, was because I never thought I would see Jimin sing that kind of style of song and just be that dark and raw. And I think that's why I was so captivated by Set Me Free Part 2.
Yeah.
I was still pretty baby ARMY when he came out with Face. And when I sat up and I waited for the premiere of the music video. And I remember being a little unsettled because I was like, I don't know this Jimin. I was used to the Serendipity Jimin and maybe Filter Jimin, but Set Me Free Part 2 Jimin was someone I had to get to know a little bit.
Gosh, do you remember when the teaser dropped? When that teaser dropped for that, we were all like,
what is this?
Shocked. Like, what is this going to be? Like, that's crazy.
I missed that. Like, I was so annoyed.
Because the feeling when something premieres. Yeah.
Like, I missed that premiere for that whole album. And I'm bummed about it. But when I first watched the music video, whenever the lights go black and it comes on for the second part, and he's, shirtless with the tattoos, and his dance break is so insane. Like, how fast that is just like, I watched it so many times being like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
Like, the sweat has got to be pouring because it's just like, I mean, it's so quick, so fast, so talented, and just like has such a punch to it.
Yes, the moves are so precise and he hits every single one. I mean, I love to learn choreo and I tried to learn Set Me Free Part 2. I can't do it. I can't, because like the beginning with like all the hand movements, I'm just like, I don't even know what you're doing. It's so fast.
Precision is the word. Yes. Precision.
Yes.
And it's such like a fierce, like, it's a fight song basically. And
It is.
it's like a declaration of like, I am doing my own thing and I'm doing it myself. And everybody else, you need to just back off. And I love that because, he's gotten a lot of, hate and pushed around a good bit. And I just love that he put that out there of like, I'm standing up for myself and this is my journey and I'm the only one who can set myself free.
Yeah. And I loved the use of the dancers in that music video too. He had like a literal army, and there's that part where they're all just like swarming. It's like, it's almost like demonic, like it's like hell he's coming out of. Just this black mob of dancers, and he just emerges from it. It's like, whoa. You're right, Sunny. It is a bit unsettling when you go into it not expecting it, and you're like, this is kind of dark, and this is a lot. It's a lot. That makes sense. Good pick. Good pick. I have talked about this all the time. Rebirth is my favorite song by him. And it's what a contrast. Like, go from Set Me Free Part 2 to Rebirth. Like, totally opposite songs.
I feel doesn't get as much appreciation as it should.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jackie, I want to know. Is it your favorite?
Oh, why is it my favorite? I think it's the best he has sounded. Like, it really just showcases what I love about his voice. It's like really melodic. I kind of compare it to Answer Love Myself, where it feels just like this anthem in a sense. Like Rebirth kind of felt like this anthem to me. Like, it just kind of lifted me up and I got goosebumps when I heard it. I can't even.
And the choir in the background.
Yeah, like I just want to be like, oh my gosh, Church of Jimin. Like, that's what it feels like right now.
Yeah, and it has that light little high-pitched, like, I don't know what that piano sound to it. It's like sparkly almost.
Yes.
Sparkly.
Pretty, yeah. And and you don't hear songs where he belts a lot. Like, he's really belting in that song and using a big voice, where you're used to his voice being more delicate and soft. This was like strong. And I'm like, damn. I felt like there was a lot of growth in that. And when he sat down with RM, and RM's like, this is the best song you ever wrote. And I'm like, I completely agree. And to hear that from RM, you know that's a good song. So to me, it's just the standout. I love it. But I'm a Muse girl. I like Face for what it is, but Muse just felt like such a happy pill when it came out. All of a sudden, it was like flowers and just great. Like, the Who music video was just a God honest, great pop song with great choreo. I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need right now. It just felt like it's what we needed. So, Who had the fandom in a chokehold? When that came out, we were nuts over that. And it just, again, other things come out and it kind of gets forgotten. But it's like, please don't forget Who. And even Smeraldo Garden marching band had us in a chokehold because it was so different. It was like, what is this, like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club type song that, like, this is not K-pop? What,
I am still in a chokehold with Who. I'm a huge Who girl.
Yeah, like, so with J-Hope and Killing It Girl, like, everybody was all into that. And I'm like, Jimin did it first, because in Who, he had the girl and had the sexy choreo starting. I'm like, don't forget that Jimin kind of opened the door. Jimin and Who walked so Killing a Girl can run. That's how I feel.
It's so true.
Because that got us all like, what? Did he almost touch her? What happened?
No, his hand just up the rib cage. I love that scene. I was like, yes, we need to see more of them dancing with women. Like, it's just such a beautiful.
It is awesome. Well, thank you, ladies. Great choice. Thank you for chatting with me. Gosh, I said, I'm like, oh, I need 15 minutes. So now we have an hour, and I feel like it was all great, and I don't want to cut any of it. But thank you all for coming on again. I look forward to the future to see what Jimin does. Say goodbye to Army.
We'll see you around.
I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I know it was a little longer than usual, but I just love those ladies and was having such a good time talking to them. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about one of our visuals of the group, Kim Tae-hyung. He was my first bias. I can't wait to gush about him. For more fun in the fandom, follow me at Jackie in the Soup and Talk Bantantami podcast, and also check the caption to follow the Jimin ladies. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Hey.